how's it going? I hope you're having a great Friday evening and getting ready to have hopefully a relaxing evening. Maybe doing some sheltering in place, something like that. But I hope you're doing well. I hope you're finding some things to enjoy as well as just to be thankful for in the midst of this time. I have to admit I'm greatly missing seeing you and just getting to be together as the church. Looking forward to the day when this is behind us in that regard. Just had a couple of thoughts. I was reading in Genesis this morning and looking at the story of Jacob, who is the grandson of Abraham, and becomes one of the great names in the Old Testament in terms of who God is. He's first identified as the God of Abraham and Isaac and Jacob, and in the story of Jacob, he's a interesting guy. Is putting it nice. He's kind of a shyster guy, really, maybe more accurate, and he just got done lying to his blind father and stealing his older brother's birthright when I picked up with my reading. So, that's kind of the guy he is, but he and his mom miscalculated how angry his older brother is going to be, who now wants to kill him, and so they decide to send him off to some relatives, 1,000 miles away. And on his journey, which he's basically by himself, he ends up sleeping out in the open, and he has this crazy dream and sees what he describes as a stairway to heaven, and sees God at the top of this. And God speaks to him and says, hey, I'm the God of your father, Abraham and Isaac, and I'm going to be with you and be your God as well. I'm going to give you safety on this journey, and eventually I'm going to give this territory that you're in, that you're sleeping in right now, I'm going to give all this to your ancestors. But the part that was really interesting to me was what came after that. And here's what it said. And this is Genesis 28. And this is part of verse 14. It says, your ancestors, they're going to spread west, east, north, and south, and all the families of the earth will be blessed through you and your descendants. And that's what got me thinking was, this is way back in Genesis. This is way back in the beginning, that the whole world is going to be blessed through your descendants. Ultimately, we can go back and look now, like this blessing really begins with Jesus, mostly. It's where it goes crazy. It's why Jesus tells them to go out and make disciples of all nations, go out into the whole world. But what's interesting is I think now today with what's going on around the world, and we can see what's happening around the world with the coronavirus going on, I'm amazed by all the emails I get from ministries around the world, Gospel for Asia and Open Doors and Voice of the Martyrs and Compassion International. And there's tons of them. And they're all around the world, literally bringing the gospel, the good news of Jesus, but also medical help and care and food and housing. And you name it. And it's awesome to think that here's God at work through his people, the church, blessing the world. But it all started way, way, way back 4,000 years ago with this random group of nomadic guys, this nomadic family. And yet through what becomes the nation of Israel and through ultimately the coming of Jesus, God's plan from the get-go, his redeeming of the world, his saving of the world, his blessing the world, all started back then. And he ends this comment with Jacob here in verse 15. He says, I will not leave you until I have done what I promised you. And I love it because immediately it again made me think of Jesus in Matthew 28 with the Great Commission of going out into all the world and to make disciples. But he ends it with, and I will be with you always to the very end of the age. And it's awesome because Jesus is with us and it's happening. He is blessing the whole world through his people, the church, and that includes us, that we're part of that. And it's really cool. Even though we're in this weird time and we're so limited, it's fun to get to hear some of the stories of ways that you've been out blessing people in the name of Jesus. I got a gift bag with masks to wear right now, an awesome note describing the care that went into that, the safety procedures that went into that, as well as an invitation to come and be part of the church online and to hear what's going on and be encouraged. How many people came and grabbed just little Easter basket bags, last week to give out to neighbors and friends, just to encourage people, just to give some hope. It's amazing the things that we can still do, and especially how much people need it. But it all has a bigger impact than we often think, simply because Jesus is in this with us. And so I just encourage you, continue to be Jesus' people, continue to be a blessing, whether that's prayer and just be praying for the people, especially the local people who are infected now, and just thinking of the group over there that we've been reading about in the news and the retirement homes and communities. Be in prayer for them, be in prayer for just our community, and more ways that we can just continue to be that blessing, because it's having a bigger impact than any one of us gets to see. But it's just a cool reminder that God is at work in the same way that God continues to always be at work in this world, and we get to be a part of it. So I hope you have a great Friday evening, and I hope you get to have your eyes open this week to ways in which God may want to use you in your neighborhood, in your home, just in the lives of those around you in these extraordinary times we're facing. You guys, have a good one. We'll see you on Sunday.